All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the December 10th, 2020 regular governing board meeting for the Washington Elementary School District. I'm sorry that we're running a little late. We were having some technology issues trying to help a board member get on. Ms. Tucker, would you do roll call, please?
Yes, Madam President, roll call, T. Lambert, President, Bill Adams, Vice President, members present, Aaron Yannicki, and Nikki Whaley.
All right, thank you. Next, if we could have a moment of silence and meditation. Our prayers and thoughts go out to the Askew family. We've lost a family member of our district, and please keep them in mind and in your hearts and prayers, and to also just think kind things and help each other out as we go through and still working through the pandemic and difficult times. Dr. Stanton, if you would lead us into the pledge, please.
Yes, Madam President. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If we could have a motion to adopt the December 10th regular and executive session meeting agenda.
So moved, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Yannicki. I'd like to remind everyone of our meeting operating norms found on this page and our virtual board meeting norms. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Miss Lambert, I have Mr. Herrera on the phone, so he's with me. So he just said aye.
Great. Thank you. Glad you could join us, Mr. Herrera. Did everybody have an opportunity? I'm sorry I got lost there to go ahead and make a motion to say aye. Everybody agreed? Okay. Any nays? We'll go ahead and accept that. If we could have a motion to approve the November 19th regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Yannicki. Is there a second?
I'll second, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Mr. Herrera said aye.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And that motion passes. We're on to current events and acknowledgements. Board members. Is there anyone who'd like to start?
Sure, Madam President. This is Nikki. I would like to first off acknowledge all of our staff from the administrative office to the campuses. It's last week, I believe, people are finishing up grades and all of that and getting ready for break next week, but I know our teachers will still be working and plugging along even through that time. So I just want to acknowledge all of them coming to this semester of a very unusual and challenging year. So I just wanted to thank all of them, as well as thank all of our families and students. I know it's been very challenging and difficult for all of us as well. And then I also just want to acknowledge that this is a difficult time. I guess I'll make like a personal plea. Our numbers, as we'll hear tonight, are very high, and I'm just hoping that people will be smart, stay physically distanced, limit the amount of interaction we're having because our numbers are high, and the lower they go, the sooner we can get back. So with that, I'll pass. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Adams?
I'm just going to echo Mrs. Whaley and thank you, Ms. Whaley. That was beautifully said. Just a big thank you to everybody. What a year this has been, and we're not going to see or talk to anybody through the balance of the year. this district has done, from the administration all the way down to the crossing guards, has been just absolutely amazing. Talk about being flexible and being able to adapt on a moment's notice. Everybody was so wonderful. And thank you to the parents. I also want to acknowledge the emails that we received. Even when they were passionate about their positions, they were still extremely respectful. And for that, I very much appreciate that, and continue to invite all of our stakeholders or anybody within the district to continue to communicate with us. But just a big thank you out to everybody, and I wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year, and be safe. And again, I echo Mrs. Whaley, what you said in regards to the situation with COVID. Be safe out there, and hug those around you now more than ever. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Herrera, is he able to, does he have anything, or is he able to?
Just no, Merry Christmas to everybody.
Just Merry Christmas if you got to hear him.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Yannicki?
Thank you so much. I just want to thank everybody for the past, 12 years. It goes by so fast, and it was a great ride, and this is something I always wanted to do, and I was able to do, and when you're able to do that, that's a proud accomplishment. So I'm still going to be around. In fact, I emailed Karen O'Keefe because my pencil pal wasn't writing me very quickly. So I hope to keep doing that, and I hope to keep doing some other things as needed. And I want the new, I hope so much for you guys next year, because I know it's not going to be easy the first quarter of the year, just like this year wasn't easy. But it doesn't mean that what you're doing isn't worth fighting for. And I want to thank our employees for dealing with everything with such class. Everything I see shows that they're still proud of what they're doing, and they know it's more important now than it's ever been before. So kudos. I want to thank my colleagues. Some of you have known a really long time before I was on the board, and the administration too. You've been great professionals, and I've learned a lot in 12 years. So thank you.
Thank you. I want to wish everybody a happy holiday, a safe holiday, to be able to be close to your family as possible during these difficult times. I reiterate everything that everybody has said before. We really need to take care of each other by social distancing, wearing masks. The end is almost in sight, and we shouldn't lose sight of that, and have that encourage us as we move forward, coming into 2021, so we can get past this ordeal of this pandemic. I too would just like to thank everybody. I've been on the board for quite a while, and I've had the privilege of being able to work with 3 superintendents, and I am so pleased at everything that we have been able to accomplish as a team. And we have gone from everything of bringing back and making sure that we have, we used to call it parity, but it can be called equity now, and being able that all children have the same chance to participate in all kinds of academics, as well as going through some difficult times as we do in public ed, and when the political winds that hit. What I've always been proud of the most of is that we have been student-centered, and we make decisions on the best interest of our students, knowing that the adults will also benefit when we focus on our students, instead of focusing on political wills that come and go. And we have been able to be steadfast. We have had a very cohesive board, and when we have a cohesive board and support our district, then the district does very well. And I just want to thank everybody that we've been able to work with, from our Kathy Thompson, Howard, Mike. Can't do anything without Shannon and Amy. And Dr. Stanton, you have been a great educational leader. I always brag about you. I can tell you that now that I'm stepping off the board. But the one thing you have always said, there's been different things with the superintendents. When Dr. Cook was chosen, we had just come out of a very tough time struggling, and she just made my heart so proud when she talked about we were going to move forward and we were going to put the we back in WESD instead of being so disjointed, and that we did move forward and we did those things. And also with Dr. Stanton, you're always so student-centered. And one thing you've always said that I wish we could do, I don't know how we could ever do it, is to that every student has an IEP. Every student comes in and assessed and found where strengths and weaknesses are and build them into more strengths. That's how we help and encourage that. And we have brought our schools around and improved our student achievement, improved closing gaps. We were the in the top 6 of the nation, and reported in New York Times that we were one of the top schools in the nation that had closed the achievement gaps in all our subgroups. So we have done a lot of good things, and I'm very proud to have been part of the board and our administrative teams as we've been able to do that. So my daughters reminded me tonight that this is it's not the ending of the book, it's just the closing of a chapter. So we'll be around. Thank you. Dr. Stanton.
Madam President, members of the board, let me see if I can make sure that echoes out of there. There we go. Just a couple of updates. We had a PLA planning team, and of course I sent to the board the options. I hope you had a chance to see all the options that the PLA team came up with in academic services. We were trying to offer choice to our staff. We're trying to offer it in multiple modalities, so that whether you're doing it on your own time, that we are, we're trying to offer multiple options for our staff. You saw we had everything from engaging strategies for children. We even had de-stressor activities. So I just want to thank the PD department and the PLA planning team for that. Also want to thank Melissa Paulson. Melissa Paulson and her team, if you saw, has served over 1 million meals, breakfast and lunch and snacks between the beginning of the school year. We're going to August till now. So kudos, Melissa, to you and your team. We did transition back to virtual because of the metrics and because following the science. And so I want to thank all of the staff. It takes a WSD village to actually accomplish that. So there's just so many departments and people to thank. So I do want to say, Ms. Lambert, and to the board, thank you to everybody who helped make that transition occur along the way. I do want to thank, there was the ASBA ASA conference, and I'd like to thank Dr. Jason McIntosh. He was actually a presenter showing a lot of the work that we're doing with our underserved kids and how we're slowly but surely identifying them through the project potential options. And of course, we have many gifted options for kids, but he's not allowing the underserved to not get their opportunities like everybody else. So kudos to Dr. McIntosh. I do want to thank Justin Wing for the PLA Title IX work that he's been doing. If you haven't been following the law, there's a lot of Title IX work that we've been having to do. And so I want to thank Justin for setting up so many of the professional developments that we have along the way. I do want to thank Kathleen's team this week. Hopefully saw on social media, we had a great ASA event for Catapult basketball. Evelyn, I believe from Desert Foothills, I hope I have that right, Kathleen. What a great way. 3 students that I'll be sending out personal thank you notes to, just wonderful students, but what a wonderful activity to use science and math and timing and public speaking, and just a lot of fun. It's IBN time, Ms. Lambert, so thank you to the IBN team. I want to also thank the WPA team. We met with WPA the other day. Thank you, Tracy, and everybody for that work as well. Thank you to the WDA. We also had a chance to meet with them since our last meeting as well. So thank you, Ms. Lambert, for the opportunity. Oh, wait.
All right.
Wait, Ms. Lambert, this is actually current events and acknowledgements, I believe. So I think we need to do an acknowledgement. Ms. Tucker, you're up.
To be humble, to be kind, it is a giving of the peace in your mind. to a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way, to be humble, to be kind. It is a giving of the peace in your mind.
Miss Tucker, one moment. Can Miss Lambert, can you see it? Can you see it? Okay.
No, it's a black screen.
Okay, one moment, please.
I like dark comedy, but not that much.
Now if we could just sync up the music, Miss Tucker, by chance. We got the video now, but we need the music.
I always
Okay,
say
I need
technology is
to do a retake. 1 second, please.
Miss Tucker, we'll edit this out later. It's okay.
There we go.
To be humble, to be kind. It is a giving of the peace in your mind. To a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way that has no end. We are love, we are one. We are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war. We are how we treat each other and nothing more. And to be bold, to be brave, it is the thinking that the heart can still be saved. And the darkness can come quick. The danger's in the anger and in the hanging on to it. We are love, we are one. We are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war. We are how we treat each other, nothing more. And tell me what it is that you see. A world that's full of endless possibilities. And heroes don't look like they used to. They look like you do. We are love, we are one. We are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war. We are how we treat each other, nothing more. We are how we treat each other, nothing more. We are how we treat each other.
Miss Tucker? Got your one. Somebody else I need to mute. Tucker, you have to put your mute. So Miss Tucker, you need to mute.
Yes, I'm here.
I don't know if you mute. I think. Hearing you in the back. I'm hearing myself. So it's okay. So if for Aaron and for T, we
You're on mute, Paul.
That would be Murphy's Law. There we go. There's the video. There it is anyway. So for Mr. Yannicki and Ms. Lambert, it says, and you can see on the screen here, thank you for your years of outstanding dedication, commitment, and support of the WSD students, staff, and families. And it has your name, a governing board member, and the years of your governing board service. And it has, of course, the hashtag WSD family. And so we'll be getting these to you. Obviously, this is a COVID moment. And Ms. Tucker, I think there's some other things you may have there as well. Can you show those to Mr. Yannicki and Ms. Lambert?
Yes, if I don't have any other technical difficulties. Bear with me.
So if you can see there, these are some gifts we wanted to give you. Our own print shop made this one here. And you'll see at the bottom what we mean from our hearts, which is forever in our WSD family. And Ms. Tucker, if you want to hold up the other one as well, you want to show them. There's two of them actually. They each are each one are for you individually that have individual shots of you as well. So again, that's from our print shop to say forever in our WSD family. And so we'll be getting those to you as well in the near future. So, Madam President, I know also that we'll have an opportunity after COVID, after we do get back to whatever normalcy is, to celebrate you both. But at least for this evening, we wanted to make sure that you had those as well.
Well, thank you so very much. I love the little montage you put together. That was, just kept looking at it going, oh my gosh, yeah, oh, I remember. It brings back a lot of memories. Thank you for everything that you have done. And then, are we ready to move on to public participation?
No. We're not going to move on. But before I go, does any other board members wish to say anything?
I'll go first. I just want to thank you both for your service, your years of service to the district, well before I was a parent in the district. And I appreciate that each of you brought your own special way. And I know that I certainly learned from you, Ms. Lambert, the history and the balance of the way in which you approach your role. And then also from Mr. Yannicki, I appreciate your absolute love and joy spending any kind of time with the district, and also your humor. So I appreciate both of you and what you've taught me as a board member. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I guess it's my turn now, T and Aaron. So I'm going to, because this is a tad emotional, I think, for us, I actually wrote some notes down, so forgive me for trying to do it this way. But Aaron and T, there are not enough accolades for me to bestow onto the two of you. You're both amazing individuals. Aaron, you've made us proud with your many years of service. You've been our president a couple times, vice president a couple times, representative on our Employee Benefit Trust, and a board member of the Washington Education Foundation. And I'll just say bowl-a-thons and say enough said. You know, the amount of hours you put into that organization, you really, really, really have made us very, very proud, sir. And with that, I'm going to say thank you. T, you know, what can I say? You and I have playfully acknowledged that we've called our relationship a board marriage. And I want to take this moment to say thank you, Bernie, and to my wife, Jackie, for allowing us that courtesy. But reality is we've been together and have spent a lot of time together over the past almost 30 years with the district. From the days of you carrying around the reams of paper that were 5 inches thick, consisting of what was, at the time, the budget, ready to challenge the board on spending, accountability, and there were times you were ready to go to battle, and I'm going like, T, really? But you were there and you were ready to get up and get to that mic. To where you are today, you've become a stabilizing factor in these most difficult times. An individual that we all look up to as a board member, as a community leader, And most importantly, as somebody that I truly consider a very close friend, and as I believe our community does with both of you. The list is actually too long for me to review when it comes to your involvement and accomplishments. You've really raised the bar, T, and Aaron, you've done a fine job too. We'll continue to call on you for advice and or for a friendly shoulder to whine on or cry on. But most importantly, I'll miss the caring that you have for the children. And T, you're always calling them the kiddos. All of our children, our students, are your kiddos, and don't ever forget that. We love you, T, and I'll close with this: that I am truly going to miss those study sessions where we had to wear Hawaiian shirts, or because you know how I feel about study sessions.
I love.
Guys, we love you both. T, it's been many years together, and we've been shoulder to shoulder on a lot of things, and you make me very proud. And as I progress over the next 2 years, I hope to make you proud also. And I thank both of you for your unwavering service to our district. With that, Madam President, I'll close out. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know where to go from here.
Madam President, if I could, Mr. Herrera is on the line.
Sure.
Just wanted to say how much he wanted to thank you and Mr. Yannicki for your service and how much you've also helped him as well. And so I just wanted you to make sure you got that. And then my team also wanted to let you and Mr. Yannicki know how much we love you. We, as to use Susie's phrase, you put the we into WSD. So thank you for being a part of the WSD family. It has been our true pleasure to walk the walk next to you, and you have changed our lives. And so we just wanted to say thank you so much, you and Aaron, so much for the love and dedication you've given over your years. So from the leadership team to you guys, love and appreciation.
Thank you. Aaron, did you want to say anything or? No. Okay. Then I guess we will.
Excuse me, Aaron's muted. He is
I was
trying to
muted.
speak.
I was going to ask when I need to bring the laptop back. You know.
This is later.
Okay, because I want to think, because I will make arrangements. I'm not just going to keep it. And it was very kind words from very good people, and I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now that I'm done crying, we'll go ahead and move on to public participation. Ms. Tucker, is there any public participation?
Yes, Madam President, we do have a few public participations. I will read the first one. I have known Aaron Yannicki from the time he was a sweet first grade boy coming into my classroom with a big special smile and a desire to learn and do everything that was expected. I have watched him apply. I just apologize. I should probably start by saying the first one, public participation, is from Lynn Thome. So I'll start again. I have known Aaron Yannicki from the time he was a sweet first grade boy coming into my classroom with a big special smile and a desire to learn and do everything that was expected. I have watched him apply his exemplary service on our board, and he has done all that was expected and needed to support, protect, and provide for our children and all of the Washington Elementary School District family. Mr. Yannicki has given his heart and soul to all of us for so many years, and his efforts will never be forgotten. His remarkable dedication to our district has been exceptional. Knowing Aaron, he will always continue to serve and support our district in many new ways. I hope he will continue to visit my first grade class and read stories. The children love having him share his time with them. Thank you, Aaron, for everything you have done for the Washington District family. You are very appreciated. I feel extremely fortunate to have known you for so many years and congratulate you ahead of time on all the wonderful things you will do in the future. Best to you always, Lynn Thome.
And then our second one is from Miss Tracy Maynard. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank Governing Board President Lambert and Aaron Yannicke for their many years at Washington Elementary School District. It takes a vision, heart, and commitment for board members to devote to such a long service. The numerous hours they have spent to move our district in a positive direction have proven invaluable. During the time they have served, I have witnessed a superb dedication to making the best possible decisions for our students, families, educators, and communities. During Aaron Yannicke's tenure at Washington Elementary School District, he led a commitment to community that reflected a unique and valuable position to the roles he served from president, vice president, and active member. His loyalty as a passionate member of the neighborhood communities our district serves could be felt at every level, and I'm sure I speak for all when I say he will be missed. When leadership has no other agenda than to make a difference for our district, we become the beacon of hope for our neighborhoods. I especially want to acknowledge T. Lambert for being approachable and listening to the many voices within and amongst our district. I believe the strength of our schools today exude a refined authenticity that reflect the heart of President Lambert. As a principal, I'm firmly aware that leadership is a relationship. It is listening, learning, and asking the right questions. It is making hard calls and having the integrity to stand by the result of those calls. President Lambert's involvement in the many community stakeholder committees that she has served, from strategic planning to special interest arts committees, from budget councils to advocacy groups, have shown that listening, learning, and asking the right questions were authentically driven, assisting her decisions making, which by extension considered the varying programs, resources, and directions our district systematically needed. Nevertheless, she showed us that the voices of parents and students remain equally valuable. It also begs merit to reflect on the way President Lambert has navigated the district through change. She has remained steadfast and tenacious through the foundation of No Child Left Behind, the budget cuts of 2008, the revisions of Common Core, the teacher lobby of Red for Ed, and most recently, the pandemic response. As William Arthur Ward famously quipped, adversity causes some men to break, yet causes others to break records. The latter has proven true for our district with T. Lambert's dedication and passion. Despite the challenges of change, she has tirelessly given her time and resources to drive our district forward. We have all been fortunate that President Lambert's agenda was singular, providing the best learning environment for the growth of our district's students and families. Every district should be lucky enough to have a governing board president like T. Ours was that fortunate. Thanks again for your years of service. You will be missed. Tracy Maynard.
That is it, Madam President. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for those kind words. Oh, well, now I guess we can move on to business. And it's time for the consent agenda. Are there any items that board members would like to pull? Hearing none, if I could have a motion to accept consent agenda A, B, C, D, E, F, and G.
So moved, Ms. Lambert.
Thank you, Ms. Whaley. I have to check to see if I was on mute. There was no response. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Yannicke. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Herr said aye.
Aye, yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Hearing no nays, then we will go ahead and accept that motion. I'd like to take just a moment to thank our donors, Allstate Foundation, Mr. John Bolton, First Christian Church, Gardner's Book Services, Lincoln Heights Christian Church, Mr. Johnny Pinna, and Whataburger for all their donations and their support for our students. It means a lot to us. Thank you so very much. We will, at this moment, go ahead and recess our regular meeting for a public hearing. Help me, Ms. Tucker. Do I need to have a motion to do that?
Yes, we do, Madam President.
Okay, if I could have a motion to recess our regular meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Yannicki. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Whaley. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank
Mr.
you.
Said aye. Yep.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and open up for our public meeting. At this time, during the public meeting, I do want to tell our guests that the chat line would be open. So if you have questions on the information that is going to be shared with you, go ahead and type into the chat, and we will get those answered for you. So I will turn this over to you, Dr. Stanton.
Madam President, members of the board, members of the audience, this is a open meeting to discuss the public hearing for the expenditure budget revision number 1 for fiscal year 2020-2021. And Ms. Thompson, would you like to introduce who will be presenting, please?
Thank you, Dr. Stanton. Tonight, in preparation of the revised budget for the number 1 for December of 2021, I'm going to have Rochelle Corey, who is Interim Director of Finance, to to present to you guys tonight the reasons why we had to revise our budget and what had to be revised.
Good evening, everyone. The reason why we had to revise the budget this time in December was in October, we received a letter from the state of Arizona stating pursuant to ASR 15-9005 that we exceeded our general budget limit by 1%. When we originally adopted the budget back a couple months ago, we presumed that we would lose about 400 ADM. This was prior to COVID. So since then, we have actually reduced our ADM by 1,388 students. That has caused the budget to decrease by $9.6 million. However, if you go to the 4th column down, we have received an increase in our carryover from last fiscal year for about $2.1 million. This has made our general budget limit reduce by 7.4. If you can scroll down a little bit more, you can also see the loss of the ADM has reduced the capital budget by $6,000. Some of the areas that we took these reductions for were in utilities, fuel for transportation due to savings from the schools being virtual and having a lower transportation costs. The other areas we reduced were salaries for transportation, crossing guard salaries, playground monitors, and PPE supplies. The reason why we reduced these areas is that they are eligible under the Enrollment Stabilization Grant. Otherwise, we call this ESG. We will be journaling these expenses into this grant this month and hope to have also have many donations from PPE supplies. The WESD has received $9.6 million for this ESG Governor Grant. The purpose of this grant is to help schools with the loss of ADM. For the grant, these monies can be used for any COVID-related items. COVID-related items under this grant is $500 per student. So pretty much any expenditure up to $500 per student is considered COVID-related. Our hope in this fiscal year is that this award of the $9.6 million from ESG will help offset the $9.6 million reduction in M&O. In addition to the ESG grant, I wanted to let you guys know that we also received the ADE Federal Education and Secondary School Emergency Relief Grant. That is ESSER. And with that money, we're hoping to receive $7.3 million. We are also planning to use that money to help with any COVID-related PPE supplies. So that will also help the M&O budget. Do any of you guys have any questions?
Board members, do you have any questions? I have one. I'm sorry, Ms. Whaley, I ended up jumping in on you. I just have one, is that in making this and being able to show this and that these are things that have happened due to the situation that they're in, we, with the additional grants that'll come in that will help cover some of this reduction, will this in any way impact meeting our bills and being able to continue forward this year and making our payments?
No, this won't impact any of our bills. We've actually had a less bills for utility and stuff due to the schools being closed. So that has helped with this reduction.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry, Ms. Whaley.
No, not at all. So I had the opportunity to speak with Rochelle and Kathy earlier today because I did have some questions. The first thing is if we could just do a little bit of definitions. When you say ADM, that is our daily attendance, right? So when you say ADM, we're talking about kids in our classrooms, correct?
The ADM is our student count, and it's also based off weights with SPED.
And SPED is special education. So when we're talking about ADM, that is our base number of students by which the state is doing their calculations, correct? Okay. Just want to make sure, because I know we throw a lot of these terms around. So because of COVID, we've seen a reduction in the number of our students, and that means less that's getting multiplied by the funding from the state. And my understanding is the majority of, or a good chunk of these are younger students, our kindergarten students. Is that correct, Ms. Thompson?
Yes, about 400 or 500 is kindergarten students.
Okay, so that's good to know, because it could be that those kids, very likely will be back when school goes back. Maybe people just kind of held them for this year because of COVID, but we can hopefully expect to see that. So that's good news. And then you talked about the stabilization grant. So between the stabilization grant and then the ESSER grant, which is the COVID related, and the extra $2 million that we got with the carry forward, we were able to recoup a lot of that lost revenue. And then the rest was filled in with savings from being virtual, which is less utilities, less transportation, less need for some of those transportation positions. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So next year, assuming that we are back in person, if we don't recoup the number of students that we got this year, that we lost this year, we are going to be in a position where it will be difficult. We might have to make some difficult decisions. Is that correct?
Yes. Kathy Thompson is currently working with our meetings teams to go over that stuff.
Yeah, we have to make some tough ones. Yes.
Okay. Because the grants won't be available necessarily next year. At least they're not speaking up right now. And the savings that we got from being virtual this year, once we go in person, we won't be able to save the 1 million utilities, the 1 million in transportation, because we'll be spending that money. So unless we bring in more revenue somehow, which I don't, and 208 money is not that close in our future, we could be looking at having to make some reductions somewhere.
That's a possibility. That since these grants will help this year's budget, we should be able to maintain some of our carry forward and be able to help offset some of the reductions, but we may have to make some hard decisions in the spring.
And
Okay.
Nikki, I do want to let you know that the ESSER grant, the one from ADE, that one does expire September 2021, and that's the one that we are hoping to use more for more of the PPE supplies, since in the beginning we did get a lot of donations. So the ESSER grant will help us in the future with more of the PPE supplies.
And that's good, because even when we go back to in person, we'll still need a lot of that material. Okay, I just wanted to really break that down, that right now we are able to, from my understanding, stay afloat because we had some grants, we had some savings from virtual, and we had some carry forward, but we don't have that much carry forward necessarily to do this again next year. So I just wanted to put that out there, not to be a Debbie Downer, but just to say that, it's going to take us a little while to build back the attendance, because we were already trending down a few hundred every year anyway. So I just want to let people know that this is you know, we've weathered this really well with some fantastic financial management on our district's part, but that next year could look a little tough, depending on what kind of revenue might come in and where we're at with the ADM or the attendance rates, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any other board members?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Adams.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you for the report. And Ms. Whaley brings up some good points. We've been in the same position in the past, and because of our finance department, Kathy and her team under their guidance, we've been able to weather it and be able to survive the situation. Ms. Whaley brings up the point we need to be conscious of what the future might hold. But I'm optimistic that the future is pretty bright, and with the team's guidance, we'll weather it. And so I want to thank you for the support. Well, we're only down 6,000. Is that what you said? We net out at 6,000. Is that correct?
7.4.
That's amazing. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Yannicki or Mr. Herrera, do you have any questions?
I don't. Thank you.
Okay.
Larry's mentioned he doesn't have anything, Ms. Lambert.
Okay. Ms. Tucker, was there any comments from the public?
No, I'm double checking now. Let me refresh just to make sure. No, we did not receive any questions from the public.
All right. Well, thank you. Then I would like a motion to reconvene the regular meeting. If I could have a motion for that. Thank you, Mr. Yannicki. Is there a second?
I'll second it. Bill Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thanks. And hearing no nays, then that passes. So we will go back into our regular session, and we are up for item 6, action and discussion items for the approval of the expenditure budget revision. Does that go back to you, Ms. Thompson, or to Dr. Stanton?
Yeah, Ms. Thompson, would you like to do the introductions again?
Sure. Well, actually on this, we basically are asking you to approve what was just presented to you so that we can submit it to ADE.
Madam
All
Chair,
right. Yes, Mr. Adams.
I can make a motion.
Thank you.
And I don't have it in front of me, so I'm going to make the motion that we approve as presented.
Ms.
Okay.
Lambert, I will
Yes.
second the motion that we approve the revised expenditure budget number 1 for fiscal year 2021.
All right. Thank you. Motion by Mr. Adams. Thank you, Ms. Adams, Ms. Whaley, for being the second. Let's go ahead and just do a roll call vote. If Ms. Tucker, you could do that.
Yes, Madam President,
Aye.
Mr. Adams,
Aye.
Mr. Yannicki,
Aye.
Mr. Herrera,
Aye.
Ms. Whaley.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes 5-0.
All right. Thank you. So we will move on to action item B. Dr. Stanton.
Madam President, members of the board, members of the audience, this is to consider and if deemed advisable to adopt a resolution ordering the issuance and sale of school improvement bonds of the district. And I believe Ms. Thompson, you are up.
Thank you, Dr. Stanton. I lost my place on my screen. Sorry about that. What we're bringing forth to you tonight is actually to approve a resolution, and this resolution will give us permission to request bids for the final 21 million of our current authorization for bonds. We gave you a report on projects and where our status with the bond about a month or so ago, but this is going to be we had $98 million authorization. This will be the final 21 million that we are asking to sell. We plan for this to work on projects through like 2023. What the resolution is giving us permission to do is to go out and either do a competitive bid, which would we would receive bids in, or it would allow us to do a negotiated bid. It allows us either one, whichever is in the best interest of the district. We will determine that by working with our financial advisor. And so again, that allows us, it doesn't just lock us into one thing, because we never know what the market's going to be like. And so we kind of monitor it and manage, and then we determine right before what we want to do with it. So you're giving us that permission. What you're also giving us permission to do is to make the final decision on those bonds and set the award. And then the governing board, or any governing board member that is available to us, would be able to sign off on the documents for that bond sale.
All right. And how is the market looking to go ahead and be selling these right
Well,
now?
So far it's holding pretty good at lower rates. I don't know exactly what it might come back at. A lot of that is determined on after we work with our credit rating agencies and things like that to see what our ratings are. And it's been, we've had it before where it's been right about 2 to 3%. I'm hoping it'll be lower than that this time. I'm not sure. I just don't know. They say it's a good time to sell. We plan to sell in late January, early February. So that's usually a pretty good time. So hopefully we'll get a good one.
Okay. Board members, any questions?
Ms. Lambert, I do. Would it be possible, and I know it can be complicated, but Ms. Thompson, the best that you can you explain what it means? We have 21 in Class B bonds. Can you explain what we say when we're going out to get bids on these? Can you explain what that means?
Well, what we do is we put it out there on the market with investors, and investors will go out there and they'll bid, and usually they will bid on like $5,000 at a time or $2,000. You know, we usually put ours in at $5,000 at a time, and so these are investors out there that if they're tax exempt bonds, so people benefit from that. What the earnings that we pay, they don't have to pay taxes on it, and so it's out there competitively. Usually we've gone competitive. That's been in the best interest in most cases. And so we throw it out there. They have a certain time frame with which to submit those bids, and then we evaluate them based upon what they offer, what interest rate, all types of things that we look at and consider. We do that within just a period of a few minutes, and our financial advisor helps us review and award those. Is that what you were asking for?
Yes, perfect. And then what is the benefit for them? Why would people buy these? What's the benefit for them?
It's tax exempt. They're government. They're like an entity, a school improvement bonds, and so it's tax exempt for them in this case.
So they spend the money and they get to write that off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they don't have to pay taxes on that. The revenue we pay, the interest that we pay, they don't have to pay taxes on it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Board members?
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Go ahead.
Thank you. I move the governing board adopt a resolution ordering the issuance and sale of school improvement bonds of the district and delegate the authority to, one, determine the method of sale of this to the superintendent and the director of business services, and two, execute sale documents to the board president or any member of the governing board.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Yannicki. We'll do a roll call vote.
Thank you, Madam President. Ms. Whaley, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Herrera?
Aye.
Mr. Yannicki?
Aye.
Mr. Adams?
Aye.
President Lambert?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. We will go ahead and move on to information discussion items. Dr. Stanton.
Madam President, members of the board, members of the audience, as we have now been doing for many months, we're providing our COVID update. In the traditional fashion, we will go around the virtual dais as we would, and then I believe, Ms. Lambert, you usually have folks ask questions at the end.
Yes.
groups of, I think you have 3 or however you do it. So I'm sure you'll do that as well. So to my virtual right is Dr. Lynn Bailey to give an update on the operations. Dr. Bailey.
Thank you, Dr. Stanton, President Lambert, members of the board, and our viewing audience. I'd like to actually talk about 3 topics tonight. Basically, our on-site support services that we have right now on all of our campuses, as well as Kids Space, and then our after-school academy. So those 3 areas. Those are support services that we have for our students. Since our last board meeting, which was November 19th, as you know, we went virtual for the total school district on November 23rd. And part of the executive order that came out in the spring is that schools that have any type of virtual model have to have what are called on-site support services. And so right now we have on-site support services in all 32 of our schools. Our numbers have increased from 500 to now over 700 students that are actually partaking of these services. They're actually supervised by classified staff, and as well as parapros in the schools. We have over 40 transportation type of employees that, whether they were a bus driver in their real life, bus assistants, so they're assisting. But probably even more important than the numbers that we're talking about are some of the success stories. And it just gets a little bit more personalized. For instance, in one of our schools, we have a number of cross-categorical kindergarten students that are actually coming on site, and their parapros are actually able to work with these students. In another school, in our kindergarten through 8th grade school, we had an 8th grade student that had the ability to actually be at home, but he was having difficulties and challenges. So since he's been able to come to on-site support, he's been attending every day. He's meeting getting support services at the site and with his Google Meets teachers. Then also in 2 of our schools that have a number of refugees, our refugee social worker has been able to work with the students in on-site support. So these are real success stories that are in that's just a few of the success stories in all 32 of our schools. Another program that we have is Kids Space, and we have that in 13 schools right now. We have close to 300 students that are in our Kids Space types of services. In 5 of the schools, we actually have what we call a learning camp, and that is not any charge to students during the day. And then if parents wanted them to continue on afterwards, they could continue on in Kids Space, which is does have some fee after the regular school day. So those are also providing services. We are trying to really involve students in our after school activities. So for the month of December, we actually had 1,350 students that actually were involved in our after school academy. Just 2 of the activities, I'll just give you an idea. One of them was with our generational technology company that we're actually partnering with, and 138 students actually got to work virtually with these individuals, these experts in the field, and to how to operate systems, hardware components of computers, and 138 students actually helped build computers, and they actually got to take those home. So they're at their home right now. Then I believe Dr. Stanton talked a little bit about this. One of our learning STEM activities was what we called a Catapult basketball court, where 700 students actually made Catapult basketball courts. And then they competed against each other. And Dr. Stanton talked a little bit about this, but he may not have told you the whole story, okay? So he actually competed against some of our students. And I just want to tell you that the middle school student that is a female at Desert Foothills actually won the competition against Dr. Stanton. I don't think he actually stated that. So congratulations to Evelyn Johnson at Desert Foothills. So that is my report. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to actually talk a little bit about these programs.
Madam President, members of the board, members of the audience, we are reviewing the videotape of the Catapult basketball. Let's clarify that. Thank you. Mr. Wing will now go next again on our virtual dais. Justin Wing will come up with what's happening in human relations related to COVID. Justin.
Certainly, despite going virtual, we're not immune to COVID. We still are applying the Family First Coronavirus Response Act. It's an emergency paid leave for our staff. I don't know if it's necessarily related specific to COVID, but just a reminder to all of us, we have our COVID workload and then we have our traditional workload as well. We have started our interest-based negotiations team has began. They met twice already as far as large group, and the subcommittee work has been ongoing already. We're working on staffing for this year. We have December graduates, our student teachers that we are targeting to hire. Because of COVID, we really can't have our Saturday career fairs as we had in the past. So we, this week, just implemented our first teacher virtual fair, and we'll continue to make progress and have those virtual fairs going into next semester. And we're working on next year's staffing projections. I guess this is related to COVID, as Mrs. Thompson and Mrs. Whaley mentioned, the complication of enrollment being decreased. At what extent is it due to COVID, budget implications and stuff like that? We're always looking at different opportunities to recruit. It's in the works. We're working on a new opportunity to hire international teachers from our friends in Latin America, excuse me. Also, I have a large committee and subcommittees working on a bridge program specific for special education teachers. I'd like to thank the Department of Education for having quite a few members on our committee. I'm going to take this opportunity, T and Aaron, you have done so much for my growth since I was a 5th grade student at Mountain View School. Oh wait, sorry, this is not a roast, just kidding. Just kidding. Seriously though, I appreciate your confidence and support in me and the entire WEC staff. We greatly appreciate all that you have done and will do. Thank you for your service.
Madam President, members of the board, members of the audience, Mrs. Mora will talk about what's happening in academic services related to COVID-19. Mrs. Mora.
Thank you, President Lambert, governing board members and community members. Well, as we transitioned on November 23rd, we didn't have a lot of time to plan for that, but thanks to the forward thinking of the administration on all the campuses, our teachers, that transition was very smooth. They put a lot of work up front, and so our students were able to quickly assimilate back into the online learning platform. Those lessons were ready to go, and that really allowed for us to make a transition that allowed our students to have some familiarity with where they had been prior, and then just not miss a beat and continue with the sound instruction that was available for them. So we would like to thank our schools for all the time that they put in to get those schedules ready, and the communication with our families, and once again to our families for being prepared to adjust and monitor and be ready to join us back online. Also, we were able to, in all of this, complete our benchmark assessments, which in a virtual world has lots of challenges, and there's lots of just factors that go into it, and we had to do the majority of those online. And so most of our students were taking their assessments in an online platform. With the data that we're going to be able to receive, we're going to be able to look at some trends. We're going to celebrate some of the success that we're seeing in spite of all of the challenges that this virtual world has presented for us. And then also, more importantly, some areas that we can focus on and really support our students and our schools moving forward. And so we know that there will be, concerns about the validity of the assessment. It's obviously not an ideal situation. However, it will give us some information that we need to move forward. And once again, like I said, to provide those interventions for our students. We are working on the 3rd quarter lessons, and we have some amazing teams once again coming together. This is not easy work, and we know our teachers that are volunteering and helping us to do that. They're busy. They're teaching all day, and then they're helping us in their off times doing that. And then also I would like to thank our academic services team up here. Our instructional specialists have been leading those teams. Some of our coordinators are working with them just to really make sure, once again, that we are having engaging lessons for our students, that our teachers have the support that they need in using the technology that's involved with that, and that once again we are focusing on those essential standards. So we are looking forward once again to finishing out another quarter, and would like to once again thank our families for all of their patience and participation and helping to keep our students online with us. Thank you.
Madam President, members of the audience, members of the board, Kathy Thompson will give an update related to business services and our COVID-19. Kathy.
Good evening. I just have a quick update regarding the technology that we've been distributing out to students and families. I'd like to thank the MIS department because they have been basically focusing their time on making sure there's enough Chromebooks worked up for the schools and making sure there's enough hotspots ready to go out to the families. We initially handed out about 19,000 Chromebooks to students, and since then, due to loss and breakage and new students coming in, we have actually handed out another 2,000 for a total of about 21,000 Chromebooks at this point. For families, we had only done about 1,900, 17 to 1,900 hotspots at the beginning of the school year, but yet since we've gone back to virtual, we are now up to about 2,500 hotspots that have been handed out to our families, helping them have access to the internet and do their virtual learning. As Rochelle mentioned a little bit earlier, we do have access to some grants, some federal dollars to help us with meeting the needs of the extra stuff we have to buy for due to the COVID-related situations. The ESG grant she mentioned will help us offset expenses in our M&O budget this year, which is going to be greatly helpful, as you saw from the previous agenda item. The other grant that we have, we received it back at the beginning of the school year. Actually, we had it available last school year, and we spent a few $100,000 out of that grant last year, but we have not yet actually spent much of that one because, as she mentioned to you earlier, it goes through next September. And so what we've been waiting on is being awarded the ESG grant to see how much we were really going to get. We did not find that out until like November 25th. So we're working very aggressively to get journal entries made and spend those dollars down, and then we will go back and we will begin to spend the other grant dollars available for the rest of the year. So you might hear things out there about why aren't school districts spending the ESSER dollars? Well, we were waiting to see what we were going to get in the other grant before we spent down one, and so now you kind of understand why maybe we haven't spent everything down in that one, but we will be expending that shortly. Again, that's all I have as far as the COVID-related update. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. And finally, Madam President, members of the board, members of the audience, in my update, again, we've followed the county, state, and our local health officials. We appreciate, I've always mentioned Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Our staff and our students, we've talked about having their physiological and safety needs met before we can meet the educational needs. And so we have been following the metrics. The governing board has approved through our reopening plan for us to follow the metrics. Ms. Thompson, if you would, please. So for everyone who has seen this many times now, this is through the Arizona Department of Health Services. This is the community spread that we show what would be needed for us to go traditional, or also known as the green, if we were to be in hybrid, which is the yellow. And of course, what you can see is the red, which is also the virtual or substantial area. It's important on this just because you can see obviously many of the things that we have to do. But right now, as we hit our metrics, we will be showing you that things have moved very well into the substantial area as a district and even in our local zip codes. Ms. Thompson? Thank you, Ms. Thompson. So you will see that again this week, the Washington Elementary School District, this is through the Maricopa County numbers, we are in what's considered the substantial risk level. If you go to the bottom here, the prior week, our cases per 100,000 were 288.33, and our percent positivity was 12.66. I would like you to see that the COVID-like illness, which is a Maricopa County metric, was at 7.70. This week, as of today, our cases per 100,000 have moved to 327.54, and our percent positivity is 16.29 as a district. And many of our zip codes are also in very similar areas. So we made the decision, you heard, November 23rd, to go back to virtual. As I was asked last time, we will now for certain be beginning in the new year in the virtual or online arena. As I mentioned many times, and Mrs. Fernandez and I watched again today with Maricopa County Health, they're very concerned about the winter break and folks congregating in our communities and potentially not wearing masks and things like that. As Ms. Whaley mentioned earlier today, this does have much of the Thanksgiving numbers in it. I think, Ms. Whaley, we may see that next week as well. But our 2 weeks where our families will be together, the county is very concerned about when we return to school. So as I mentioned last time, we will definitely be starting virtually in the new year. And I said most likely that we'll be not even able to consider it numbers wise. Again, I can't predict the future, but at least what these are looking like, the issue will be most likely after Martin Luther King Day. We'd have to look at even to consider potential other, we'd have to look at our metrics, but I just can't see it based on these numbers going up substantially again. Again, I want to thank the board for focusing on the data and the metrics, and my team is ready to take questions.
Thank you, Dr. Stanton. Board members, any questions? And let's try do what we've done in the past. It's worked well. We'll go ahead and be able to hit 3 questions, and then we'll make a rounds and then come back, and you can always ask more questions after everybody's had a chance.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Adams.
Thank you. I want to start off by just saying, again, what a year this has been, and to utilize these matrix, these benchmarks has been extremely helpful. And Dr. Stanton and the team, you've all communicated with us, and I believe with the community, very, very well in regards to why we're making decisions the way we are. As I look at this, we can't predict out the future, but this can go through June if it keeps going the way it's going. If we go above 10 in the COVID-like illnesses, will Superintendent Hoffman tell the schools to go virtual? I mean, can she order us to go? Can she order us all to go?
Mr. Adams, members of the board, members of the audience, actually, it would be Arizona Department of Health, Mr. Adams, and they have indicated that, as you can see, it says prepare for virtual. You are correctly identifying the COVID-like illness, which started at 3 just a few weeks ago, is now up to 9.10. Arizona Department of Health said that they would then look at, and of course it would be working with the governor to potentially consider that. It wouldn't be through the Arizona Department of Education, it would actually be through the governor and Arizona Department of Health.
I'll just leave that right there. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other board members?
Ms. Lambert?
Yes, Ms. Whaley.
I do. I'll ask a couple of quick ones first. The first question I have is for Mr. Wing with regards to IBN. What role or how has discussion involved COVID in terms of the interests and some of the things that are being discussed? Is COVID and that being taken into account? And if you could just tell us a little bit about that.
One of the things we discuss in every large committee is really what we call an environmental scan, any factor that may impact WESD and our IBN work. And COVID, of course, is one of those. We've met twice. We're in the preliminary stages of going deeper in some of the options, so it's hard to tell on how much impact that'll be made. I think we're all hoping things are more promising next school year, but that's not predictable at this point in time.
Okay, yeah, it's just based on Ms. Thompson's report earlier, funding is a bit precarious right now and uncertain, and so that has a big impact on what we can do in terms of the negotiations. So it's good that we're at least talking about that. Just wanted to ask that question. The other question I have is for Ms. Thompson. The number of hotspots definitely jumped up, and my question is the URSA money, can we use that? Is that considered a COVID-related expense? Because the increased number of Chromebooks and hotspot is definitely as a result of our COVID. Are we able to use those grant dollars for that type of thing?
That is what we use the grant dollars for.
Okay, good.
We paid 100% out of the grants for the new Chromebooks we bought. We've bought about 5,000 new Chromebooks so that we make sure we have enough in stock. And we have, we ordered like 3,000, 3,500 hotspots.
Okay. Because I know a lot of people just think about PPE and hand sanitizer and stuff like that, but it's anything that is a result of COVID having us to increase. So that includes the technology.
And at this point, it hasn't impacted our regular budget at all.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then my last question is for Ms. Mora. As we're coming to the end of the semester, and I know as a parent, but I also know, assessments were done. There's also been a big push to get assignments completed and put in. My question is, what is the approach around grading? Is there a district-wide approach in how we're handling grades for the semester? My concern being that, it is a difficult time and many students stress a lot about their grades. And during this time, that's an added stress. So I just was wondering if you could talk to us a little bit about what that process is and then how that might impact retention and promotion criteria for the end of the year.
Thank you, Ms. Whaley. Yes, obviously grading has been something we've been talking about throughout the entire time that we've been online and working with our teachers. Once again, on those lessons, we were identifying the key lessons that could be considered for grading. We also have been looking at grading practices to make sure that we're working with our students, giving them ample opportunity to get assignments in, because we know there's lots of factors that are in there, out of their control in getting that work done. So we have been working consistently and having some grading practices put in place that really do support the student learning throughout. We have a committee that will be meeting next week to talk about what retention in this virtual world will look like. Obviously, there's many factors that have to go into retention in a typical year, and now that we're in an online year, we'll be taking a look at making sure that our students have every opportunity to be successful and not be penalized throughout this process.
Okay, appreciate it. I just know that some districts are talking about even not doing grades or not doing things. So I just kind of was wondering where we're at on that, but I'll ask that as in terms of a future agenda item of a report on that. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Ms. Whaley. Are there any other questions?
Mrs. Lambert, I wanted to ask, actually anybody who could answer this, it might be Mrs. Mora, but as far as assessments, I know last year, of course, they waived the grade requirement. Is there any word about that for the school grades for next year, for the school year?
Yeah, Mr. Yannicki, the Arizona School Board is looking at that right now. They have said at this point that they're, at this point, it does appear that we will be taking assessments, although that could change. But if we were, it would not have an impact negatively on us as a letter grade. So we will get some more information on that. We are waiting to hear, and I know that's going up for consideration once again to the state school board. But at this point, we have heard that there will not be a negative impact to our letter grade.
Okay, and then my follow-up is, how do you calibrate how you look at these compared to how you would look at the assessments in a typical year? Do you look at different points in time, or do you look at a distance students and compare that to somebody who did the hybrid model A or B and distance?
Yes, Mr. Yannicki, we will be disaggregating our data and looking at it from many different angles. You know, we will be measuring really the students' growth and progress, and it will be a different approach to our data than typical. You know, the testing environment was not controlled, and there were a lot of things, you know, factors that were just outside of our control as we were giving those assessments. So we'll really be just looking at that data to see how our students are doing and what we can do to provide those interventions. And there will be multiple ways we look at that. We're getting ready to break that data down by students that were in person, keeping in mind that for hybrid, it was really about 8 total days that they were in person, but also those that took the test in person versus online. And we'll be looking at it from many different angles.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Does Mr. Herrera have any questions?
No, it does not, Ms. Lambert.
No. All right. I don't know that I really have a lot of questions as much as comments, in that I was very interested in hearing all the after-school activities that students have a chance to participate in, you know, being able to experience some supplemental activities that help enhance their learnings. Those were some great ideas that have been tossed out there. It's very, very difficult in the way that it goes. And I'm also kind of wondering if the participation was higher than the norm, because sometimes when we hold them after school and transportation is an issue, then not all students can participate. But being virtual, it sounds like the numbers were quite good. And so I was excited to hear about that. Dr. Bailey, do you know about the attendance and the big differences between being live or being virtual?
We're still a little bit lower than what we were when we were live, but
okay.
We've tried to actually build in more activities, and so that's why you saw some more interactive types of things. And academic support is a very creative department under the tutelage of Kathleen McKeever, and she even has even more interactive types of activities beginning second semester. So I'll be able to actually go into a little bit more detail there, but really trying to vary the activities because we didn't want the students just to be back you know, in front of a screen again, because they've been you know, in front of a screen for the majority of the day. So that's why the interactive types of things, yet still getting at the academic types of skills that they need to develop. So thank you.
Thank you. I hear a lot of good things in reference to how our virtual is being run in comparative across the state in the different programs. So kudos to everyone that is working so hard on it. Our teachers that are providing the lessons, our teachers that are delivering and implementing the instruction. You've done a very good job. It's much appreciated under these trying times when you're dealing with your own personal stresses as well as the stresses in the job. So I've been very appreciative of that. It's always easy for people to criticize when they don't have to implement or to try and do it. We all tend to have our own opinions, and sometimes they're expressed in a negative manner. But I'm grateful that we haven't had a lot of those, that people have been pretty pleased with what is going on. And hopefully next year we will be able to move on beyond this and get back into going live. So in saying that, is there any other questions? Okay, and not hearing any, then I will ask board members if you have anything that you would like to put forward for a future report or agenda item.
Ms. Lambert?
Yes, Ms. Whaley.
I would like to have a future agenda item to discuss the retention and promotion criteria and plan for engaging parents and family, students and families in that process.
Okay. And Ms. Tucker will take a note of that, and I'm sure they'll be back in touch with you to flesh that out on more of what you're needing. Is there anything else? All right, our next is to call for executive session.
Hold on, one moment, Ms. Lambert. Yeah, go ahead, Larry.
Can I get an update on the conflict of interest policy?
Did you hear that, Ms. Lambert?
I did. You want an update on the conflict of interest? We'll put that forward. Thank you, Mr. Herrera.
Thank you.
Our next is for a call for executive session. I'd like to go ahead and just take, maybe a 5-minute break here as we move into executive session. Is Mr. Herrera, are you going to be able to participate? Is this working out okay?
Yes, so far it is.
Okay. Then if I can have a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Madam. Oh, sorry, Aaron got that. Aaron got that.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you very much. We will see you in 5 minutes. For those of you who will be leaving us, please have a great holiday. Enjoy the family. And we will see you next year.
Amy, they should be coming back over. Here's Aaron.
Hi, I'm here.
So we're live still, guys, just so you know. Looks like just waiting on Ms. Lambert.
Amy, it was nice seeing you this morning.
It was nice seeing you, Mr. Adams.
And
Been a long time.
And the boardroom looked beautiful, so good job there, guys. And Aaron, I'm gonna let you make the emotion, man. I'm gonna sit tight.
Good. All right.
Not that I'm letting you, but
No, I know. But the last meeting, I couldn't do one at all. So we can make up for it tonight.
Ms. Lambert, are you ready to call?
I am. So I would like to ask for a motion to, well, first of all, let's reconvene the regular meeting. And then I'll go ahead and ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Yannicki. Is there a second?
I'm not letting you guys go, so it's not going to be me.
I thought
Was that you, Nikki? I'm sorry, I ended up
I
laughing.
thought you were going to second it.
Okay, I'll second it. I'll second it.
That was good.
Before I call for the question, I just want to thank everybody for what you're doing and what you have done, and continue your good work. I have a lot of faith that we will continue on as a community. So thank you very much, and I'll go ahead and call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you, guys.
Happy holidays.
Yes.
We love you
Yes.
guys.
Be safe out there.
Amy, see you later. Paul, we love you.
Goodbye. Thank you, T and Aaron.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
You don't have like 3,000 more votes, do you? I'm asking for a friend.
Hey, Amy, are we still live? Can you?
We are live. We are live. Yes. Mhm.
Okay. I just had a question for Amy, but it doesn't need to be on the recording.
I will end it right now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.